clocks.
Uh-oh, Biz, I think I lost you, darling.
I'm so sorry. There was a huge pause on my computer. Hopefully, we are all here.
I
And it
think you're back.
keeps on updating.
I think you're back.
Oh my gosh, what the heck? I'm telling you, this weekend my computer is getting a bath because I don't know if I've got too much stuff on here or what is going on, but it is so slow. Alrighty. So hi.
But we're
Hi
here.
everybody. Welcome to There's No Crying There's No Crying in Crochet. We are the podcast that helps you through your everyday crochet frustrations. And oh God, I'm so off kilter here. Hi, I'm Biz from Busy Crochet.
And I'm
And
Debbie
this is,
from MadameStitch.
oh my God. Like, can I do this over? Can we start over now,
Rewrite.
please?
If I could do that, if I could do that sound, we would do that sound and we would just start right over. But
Oh, right. Oh my gosh. Okay, so if you are on YouTube, please click and subscribe to our YouTube channels for notifications every time that we're putting up a new pattern or tutorial. And I know I'm doing stuff all the time, and Debbie is getting ready to start, popping some stuff out. So please join us there. And if you are following us on Facebook, I'm just waiting on my computer to catch up with me. Sorry. If you are following us on Facebook, please give love for you to make sure that you leave some chat for us so that we can talk back to you. All right, Debbie, what's up this
what's
week?
up this
What
week?
have you done?
Well, mostly I'm just trying to keep my head
Mhm.
above water with the crochet along, and it's going so well. The Granny's Just sampler blanket is just
Mhm.
rocking along. 12 squares. We released the sixth one today. And I am
Exciting.
just loving seeing all of the squares that people are making and how excited some people are to be making this blanket. It's challenging some people to try new things. And that I'm a big proponent of that. That's how I got better at my crochet. I was just picking some things up that I had never done before and just forcing myself to do them, but the squares are just so gorgeous. So that's percolating.
Yeah.
And I was telling you just a few minutes ago that this week I do bar three, which is an exercise class that originally um, combined bar exercises with Pilates and yoga, and is this wonderful kind of mishmash of cardio and strength and flexibility and all for an hour. It's just a fabulous.
Wow.
But I just celebrated my 500th
Holy
500
cow.
in studio class. And that apparently it's a big deal. Apparently they don't get a lot
It
of
is
people
a
who
big
make it
deal.
500. So that was
I
really
was,
fun to show up and they go, "Hey, wait, we have a surprise for you." Oh, yay!
oh
I
my
love
gosh.
surprises. So that was
Well,
great.
that's
That
so
was what was up with
cool.
my week. Yeah.
That is awesome. I love
So
that.
Biz,
Uh,
what is up with you?
oh, what is up with me? It's just been kind of a crazy week and falling further and further behind on my deadlines, just, the norm. So, um
Oh my
it
gosh.
has been busy and it's been fun, and I've been working on videos, and a couple of hops have I joined another hop this week, so pay attention to my Facebook page because that's mostly where it's at. Of course, my emails are going out every time one of the squares gets released. I send an email to my people as well because I want them to have it. You know,
That's
um,
awesome.
yes, and so I'm excited because on Monday it's my square.
It's your square and
I'm
it's
so
really
excited,
cool.
and you can see it
It's
over here behind me. I decided I
yeah,
needed to put it up on my
I
shelves.
I absolutely loved making yours. I actually learned a couple of new techniques by making Biz Square. So,
That is awesome.
it's not difficult, but it is so much fun to make. So much fun.
Yes. Well, and I had a
Yay.
lot of fun designing it. I was so honored that you even asked me to do it. So we are gonna just pop on over to this week's topic.
This week's topic.
All right, this week's topic is one of those titchy touchy ones in the crochet world, like the whole artist world, I think.
Mhm.
Um and it is about copyright and trademark and how to keep yourself from infringing on any of that. Neve, you're such a sweetheart. Thank you. But alrighty, so we are going to be talking about copyright today. And first thing that we're going to discuss is the different types of copyrights. And I went to a website that knew a whole lot more than me, and I will post that link for you so that you can also look it up if anything sparks your interest or you feel like you need to do some extra research on it. Um, but there's 9 different and this is like US law. This isn't worldwide law. Um, so the 9 different types of copyright in the US are literary, musical compositions, dramatic works, pantomimes and choreographic works, pictorial, graphic, and sculptural works, motion picture and audiovisual works, sound recordings, architectural works, and collections of works. And the 4 that actually apply to us as digital creators, physical creators, it doesn't matter where you are in the crochet world, whether you're a pattern designer or you are a producer, are literary. This includes your blogs, your websites, your digital art, and your online courses. The pictorial, graphic, and sculptural works, pictures of your products, those are copyrighted. Motion picture, sound works, our reels, our videos, everything that we produce and create, those belong to us. And sound recordings, the sounds that come out of our reels.
Mhm.
If we're borrowing, if you'll notice if you make a reel on Instagram, um, if you borrow a song, they only let you have so much of it, and they've got permission. And so what I've noticed in using those reels, moving them over to YouTube as shorts, some of them don't transfer over because they
Mhm.
don't have the same permissions. So you're going to
Right.
have to find a different sound. So anything that anybody borrows off of your reel, if they use your sound, you have to get credit for that. That is a copyright infringement if you don't
Mhm.
get it. So let's talk about real quick. Is there anything that you want to add to that?
I was going to give an example of,
Hmm.
as you all know, in my previous life, I was a voice teacher and singer, and so there was always this huge debate. One of the categories that Biz mentioned was musical compositions, and as the digital age started to roll out, and we started to have access to copy machines and iPads and all of that kind of stuff, it became a big discussion in the music world about what we could download to our iPads, what we could copy. For instance, there's a clause in fair use that talks about educational use, but it's not a broad, you can copy this and distribute it to all of your students kind of thing.
Right.
And there's even a very thin line between um, downloading just a scan that you made of a musical composition so that it's more convenient for you than carrying the book around, and actually buying that digital product.
Mm.
So, and case law, one thing you should know about case law further defines the law. So yes, there's
Mhm.
copyright law, and there are clauses in there that
Mhm.
define what's copyrighted and what's not. But in a lot of
Mhm.
cases, that language is fairly broad.
Mhm.
So as those laws, as that wording is challenged in court, and cases are decided, case law then determines the more specificity of all of that copyright law.
Mm,
Um, but I think in our case, because both of us are digital producers, we both write patterns, we offer them as digital products. Everything you are not allowed to copy any of it for
mm-mm,
profit.
mm-mm,
You can copy it if you want to just use it for your own personal use, but if
mhm.
you profit from it, it's against copyright law,
Well,
especially the
even
photos.
yeah, even to take a picture of the copy and put it out there
Mhm,
for I mean, so in Facebook groups, it's quite common for people to share um part of a pattern that is actually copyright infringement,
mhm.
depending on how much you show. I believe, and this is my understanding. I could be completely way off base, so don't. I'm sorry, I have this tickle on my nose. Um, so don't take me as gospel law as far as this is concerned, but I believe if you show one or two lines of it, it is not considered because you can't create the whole pattern off of those one or
Mhm.
two lines. But if you are showing where you can create an actual chunk of the pattern from
Right.
what you're showing, then that is an infringement.
Mhm. Yeah,
Okay, so we're gonna
copyright
just
was
quick.
huge in copyright was huge. I mean, we went through a whole mess of research and challenging and all of that
Mm,
stuff in the National Association of Teachers of Singing. And the
oh my.
law says that only 10% can be um, reproduced. So if you've got a 3-page
Oh wow.
document, only 10% of that can be reproduced before it's copyright infringement. So that's musical compositions. I think you're absolutely right when it comes to a pattern. If you're just extracting a
Mhm,
line or two to get clarification, that's one thing. But if you put out an entire portion of the pattern and someone could make it from that or make a portion of the pattern, then that's copyright infringement.
mhm, mhm. Yes, I completely agree. All right, so I'm not pushing, but I just want to quick explain so that people understand copyright versus trademark because those are both two things that there's just so many words that get thrown around, so much legalese, so many, like, well, what does that mean? What is a copyright versus a trademark and why does it even matter? So I'm going to just read from the information that I got from the website that I'm going to share with you in just a minute. A copyright is designed to protect against original creative works. It safeguards the rights of creators over their work, preventing unauthorized reproduction or adaptation. It restricts the creation of similar artwork or the reuse of an artwork in a certain way. Okay. So, and I'll sum this up in just a minute. Trademarks protect brands and identifiers such as logos, company names, and slogans. They prevent confusion in the marketplace by distinguishing the goods and services of one business from another. It restricts the creation of similar copies or a similar brand that would mislead customers, including fictional characters that have acquired a secondary meaning that binds them to certain companies. Think Coca Cola Polar Bear, Mickey Mouse, Bluey the dog, Smokey the bear. So you cannot copyright an idea, but specific things done with that idea.
Mhm,
Um, so if it identi if you can look at something and identify the company that goes with it, that is a trademark.
mhm. Now, my understanding also is
And I
that
know you had
copyright.
some more technical information to share about that.
Right, copyright the law is very clear, but it's implied. Um, so when you see someone's words on a blog, you know that that is copyrighted material, but the blogger didn't go to the
Mhm,
government and apply for that to be, um, copyrighted.
mhm,
It's just understood. With trademarks,
mhm,
however, that's when you see the symbol, the T, in the circle, um, and they've actually paid a fee to have that trademarked. So you can't use any of those images in their original form.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay, so, um, this is the website that I got all of the copyright and trademark information from. I will post these in the comments after and in the description later, so that you can look it up if you need the resource, if you want to do a little bit deeper research into what all of the different things are, because there's lots and lots of links in this article that will take you to places that will explain things like fair use. It also does touch a little bit on UK and EU copyright and trademark laws. So you can look up a little bit deeper. I just don't want to get too bogged down here in our podcast about all the legal parts of this. We just wanted to basically touch on it so that we can move on to why and what. And I'm just going to pop up this other website real quick. This is the, what is that?
That's the US Patent and Trademark Office. And so, if you have a question about a trademark, you can search their database and
Mhm,
see most of the time you'll get an answer about how something is trademarked. An example that I will give you is when we were trying to decide on a name for our podcast, we came up with There's No Crying in Crochet. Well, when someone says there's no crying in, they immediately
mhm,
come up with the phrase baseball from
mhm.
A League of Their Own. Got it.
Yes.
And that's kind of a slogan or a famous saying, and I wanted to make sure that if we were gonna call our podcast There's No Crying in Crochet, that we weren't infringing on someone's trademark.
Right.
And what I found was that no, just to, say it is not an infringement. If we were to create T-shirts with There's No Crying in Crochet and sell those T-shirts, we might be infringing upon their trademark.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. Alrighty. So the reason we're here, oh gosh, that's so little. Why did I make it less? So there's a ticker across the bottom that says, what does that mean for producers? It's just like, why did I make that one out of all of them so small? So anyway, the reason we're here is to talk about you as a crochet designer and a producer. And what do these copyright and trademark laws and information, what does that, how does that apply to you? And why does it matter? Because there's a lot of people who look at, and I'm just going to use Disney because they're the biggest one, that we seem to see reproductions of their trademarked and copyrighted product. Everybody looks at Disney. I'm not okay. Let me rephrase that. Not everybody. A lot of people that I have heard and say, well, they're just this great big corporation, and I'm just this little crochet producer. How come I can't just make $5 off of their? Okay, so like nobody sees you. Disney doesn't have a camera in your house. Nobody is going to follow you around. If you're selling it online, that's different. But like if you're taking your stuff to vendor shows and affairs and things like that, no. Technically, they're not going to nail you. It's an integrity issue.
Mhm.
And but if you are looking to sell things online, you're going to need to watch your P's and Q's because they will find you and they will shut you down.
Yes, they will. Here's an example. Last year, I designed a
We've got
tissue
a couple
box
of them, don't
cover.
we?
We do. I had no idea because I don't do amigurumi. I don't make, although I did make a Baby Yoda just as a gift for someone.
Sure.
But um, I made a tissue box cover that was granny squares with an armadillo face and tail. I mean, this is not infringing on anyone, trust
Uh-huh.
me. But in my Etsy title, I used the word Kleenex box cover instead of tissue box cover,
Oh
and
my
Kimberly
God.
Clark shut down the listing.
Oh my
They went,
God.
I mean, it was almost instantaneous. They must just troll that stuff and
They
you
have
know the
people who are
pattern.
paid to do that for sure.
Right. And so that listing was brought to Etsy's attention, and they shut it down. I was able to list it later on with tissue because that's not trademark. But I just didn't even think about it when I said Kleenex, because Kleenex to me is like Xerox
Yeah,
or
which is
Kodak,
another trademark name
Polaroid, right?
and
All of
another
those
trademark
things,
and
right?
Band-Aid brand Band-Aids.
Band-Aid. Those are all things that are trademarked that we've come to look at as
Mhm.
the name for the general category. And so that, finally they just kind of dropped it because the listing was taken down and it was no big deal. But
Yeah.
that's an instance of, man, you put it up online and you are fair game for them.
Yes. So going back to when I had my um, bricks and mortar store, yarn store up in Wisconsin, I also used to sell Italian charms, the little slider charms,
Mhm.
and I would buy. I had a supplier for them, so I ordered. It was back in the time when Larry the Cable Guy and Get Her Done was really really popular, and it was everywhere. And so I had a Get Her Done charm, and come to find out, it is a trademarked line. So their legal department sent me a cease and desist letter. I'm like, okay. And they're like, not only do you have to take it down off of your website, you have to um, send us all of the stock that you have, and you have to pay us blah 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 money. So I'm like, well,
Oh.
guess what, Chuck? Here's what I'll do. You can have the charms because they're not that big of a seller anyway. And I sent them the 5 charms that I had in stock, and I'm like, "I am not paying you money." But this is what they can do, and if they'd have really, really
Mhm.
chased after it, they could have gotten me for thousands of dollars. But I just flat out I'm like, I'm not giving you the money. I my business doesn't even make that in a month, so
Yeah. Yeah.
so no. But that's one way, and then another way, I had a design shut down on Etsy as well because the I don't even know who makes it, but My Hero Academia, I've made a blanket that is an inspiration blanket for that. It has zero, like you can look at it and see that there's nothing in it that's instantly recognizable. But because I used the name My Hero Academia in the listing, they shut it down. Now I have it back up on Etsy, and it's just called like Power Up Anime or Anime High School or something like that. I can't even remember. But it is it is just an inspiration, and there's stitches in there that represent the characters. That's it. But they don't care. It's a matter of they paid for this name. It belongs to them, and you're not going to steal because what that'll do is that drives business to you because you're gaining
Mhm.
off of their intellectual property.
Yeah, and I really appreciate the fact that you said it's a matter of integrity. Yes, we are small bananas here. We're just not a big deal, but
Mhm,
it's a matter of integrity to honor the fact that this does not belong to us and we can't use it.
mhm, mhm.
And you just need to move on and do
Yeah,
something else. I mean, there are so many other things that we can design and sell that we just don't need to be using someone else's images
mhm.
and trademarked stuff.
And you can make it for yourself. They
Mhm.
literally could care less if you make it for yourself. Uh,
Right.
But as soon as you start making money off of it, there's a
Then you are
problem.
breaking the law. Yep.
Absolutely. There's a problem
Yep.
both with them and just, for us. We need to be above that. And
Mhm.
I know that, I mean, that sounds super self-righteous, but it's really true. I've been working through because see, here's where I feel, am I being hypocritical because my start was because I designed Pokemon patterns for little plushies, and they're still out there. Like people have these patterns still, but like I'm trying to remove them from my platforms. But what am I going to do? So,
Well,
going forward, I know.
I don't think there's anything you can do with the people who have it, but you're taking action to make it
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Well, because I don't want any more of that kind of stuff on my and I don't design anything that has a character in it. So we are talking about blankets this month.
Mhm,
And one of the things that I wanted to do is to talk with you and show you how you can create blankets that are inspired by um, anything in pop culture. Seriously, like literature, music, a song, movies, cartoons, book, everything. You can
mhm,
take something from pop culture and turn it into an actual crocheted item that and I call everything abstract because you look at it and you can see it in there once once you know it's there, you can see it. But you don't
mhm.
look at it and you go, "Oh, that is absolutely that." So
Right.
I have a couple of examples here, and the one that's probably gonna be the most recognizable for as far as the characters are concerned is My Little Mermaid, um, inspiration blanket. It's called Kiss the Girl, and it is a sampler blanket, but let's see if you can figure out what the middle character is.
Oh,
Knowing
I
that
don't
this
know.
okay, so oh god, I can't get this camera right. So this is the just a representation of the shell that Ariel wears around her neck.
Oh.
This is a representation of the bodice of her God bless America. Of the bodice. I cannot do this. The
There it is.
purple represents the
There it is.
shells that she
Yeah, we
wears.
got it.
The green represents her fins. The red is her hair.
Oh, wow.
And then we move into the green and blue that comes up next is just like bubbles in the water. And then the next part, this is flounder, the blue and yellow. And then the fans of different colors, the teal and the pink and the purple, is that it? No, just teal and pink. Those represent her sisters, and those are supposed to represent like the little different because they all had different colored tops and bottoms. And then my favorite stitch out of this blanket is this guy right here. I made up the stitch pattern to create what, and I call him the Calypso crab. That is to represent Sebastian. This right here.
Oh.
And then what is that? I don't know what that is. It's probably just cute. Um, and then this this part here is just to represent Flotsam and Jetsam. And then this is Ursula. And then this represents King Triton. I never got Eric in there. I didn't have enough space. But the fun part of it is that it's pretty to look at, just from a distance.
Yeah.
Striking and lovely and all of that. But as you're working on it, that's the fun part of it. Is it tells a story as you go, because you're creating all of these characters and you're like you know how you always have a favorite character in a movie. And
Mhm.
you're like, well, where is this character? Or what represents that character and all this stuff. So the very first one that I ever did it with was Alice in Wonderland. And that's where I kind of got the idea like, oh wow, I could use these stitches because one day I was looking at like a stitch Bible or something and I went, oh my God, that reminds me of Tweedledee and Tweedledum. And because it's this arch, now this is in the wrong colors because what I did is I used I'm pausing here. I used all my scrap cotton and made a blanket just so that I could practice the stitches. So it's in the wrong colors. But these two right here, because it's this arch. And do you remember in the cartoon movie when they're bouncing around and they land on top of each other and they have this rounded arch look to them? And for
Yeah.
whatever reason, I looked at those stitches and I went, oh my God, that's Tweedledee and Tweedledum. And from that moment on, I've been absolutely obsessed with finding stitches that when I look at them, I go, "Oh my gosh, I can see that in there."
I'm in awe of that creativity. Now I have to ask,
Yes.
one of the beautiful things about that is that you say it tells a story.
Mhm.
So how do you avoid copyright/trademark infringement, in marketing that blanket? Are you able to use any of that in the marketing, as
See,
long as you're not using images and stuff?
um, I always try to name the blanket itself, uh, like, "This is Kiss the Girl." Um, and then I will in the description I've never been called out on it, so I'm not 100% on this. I don't use it in the title. I try not to say, "Oh,
Right.
this is a Little Mermaid." Actually, I might need to go back over some of my titles and just make sure. But, I in the description will talk about how this is inspired by the
Mhm.
movie Little Mermaid by Disney, blah blah blah, giving them full credit for it and all of that stuff. And these are the characters that are represented in it. And I don't actually write a story necessarily to go along with it because that would be just too much. But people can tell their own story through it as well.
Mhm.
And so as far as copyright is concerned, I've never had a problem with it. Not to say that I shouldn't review it.
I mean, it would be an interesting thing to find out. I personally don't think it would be a problem if you say it was inspired by, and
Mhm,
then the blanket itself doesn't look like
mhm.
anything specific from the movie. So
Yeah,
it seems to me like you're avoiding
because like the Alice
that
in
trademark.
Wonderland, the blanket is just called Wonderland. The Little Mermaid one is just called Kiss the Girl. The Nightmare Before Christmas one is called This Is Halloween. Now, I try to pick something out of whatever it is that people would be able to recognize and say, "Oh,
Mhm,
I see that." Like, this has obviously gotta be part of that because it registers something in my brain. But, I'm trying to avoid direct correlation as much as
mhm.
possible so that I keep myself out of that copyright infringement zone, or trademark infringement is basically what I'm trying to get away from, because 'cause I'm not creating anything or stealing anything copywritten, just the trademark. And that's where a lot of us are really running into problems because there are companies out there that are taking pictures off of websites and, they're trademarked pictures that you didn't draw this. And besides the fact that it's not your character to draw, even if you do draw it, even if it's original art, that's considered something like fan art or fan fiction. You still can't make money off of it unless it's
Yeah,
approved.
yeah. Yeah, the ones that I worry about are the amigurumi that you see of eh, let's take Charlie Brown, for example. We make
Mm,
Snoopy,
mhm,
make a Charlie Brown figure or something like
mhm.
that, or the house, or um, those are for sure
Mhm.
trademarked
Oh,
and
yeah.
shouldn't be reproduced for profit.
Well, and there's this, thing with Pooh. Okay, so Pooh, his original A.A. Milne drawn, like the original Pooh, he is now public domain.
Mm,
Disney
right?
Pooh, who is a
Yes.
different drawing, he wears the red sweatshirt, everything. He is not public domain. You are not allowed to just make a Pooh. It has to specifically look like the original Pooh.
Mhm.
And that
Mhm.
doesn't mean everybody in the Pooh world, it's just Pooh. Piglet and Eeyore and Tigger and all those guys are coming later because they were created later. But
Right.
Pooh is technically public domain now.
Right. Unless someone applies for another trademark or
Mhm,
copyright, I think 75 years is how long it takes for it to become public domain. So
mhm,
if that hasn't been renewed, I had a composer friend of mine who wanted to use text that was written by Dr. Seuss, and his estate wouldn't allow him to do that, even
Wow.
though it should have been public domain by then, but they wouldn't allow it.
See, Disney has done that with Mickey Mouse and all of their
Mhm.
characters. they spend so much money, going after trademark laws and just continuing to
Mhm.
recycle it, and so, if they well, and they are getting away with it, but if they continue, they are going to have trademarks on everything until Jesus comes back,
Yes.
so you might as well just kiss those, goodbye.
They're not gonna happen.
No, you're never going to be able to make a Mickey, and even the ears, okay, guys, like, even the
Yep.
Mickey ears,
If you
those
make
are
a headband
trademarks.
with those ears, if
Yeah,
people know they
it's
are
instantly
just they look like
recognizable.
Mickey Mouse, that's it, done.
Yes,
You can't do that.
yes.
Um, but I think what I love the best about this discussion, Biz, and what I love about what you've done with your designs is the inspired part. You've actually found stitches that inspired you, that looked like, that
Mhm,
made you think of those
mhm,
characters or those portions in the story. And
mhm,
that's what we're getting at is no, you can't reproduce what someone else has trademarked,
mhm,
but you can be inspired by it and create
mhm.
something that's uniquely your own.
I've even done one to, literature. I did Grimm's Fairy Tales. I have a blanket that is inspired by, their fairy tales, and so many of the same themes end up in, so many of their stories. So it's not like, it's a straight one-on-one for stories and stuff, but, like, you can do it with just about anything. Like, if you've got a favorite song, you can find
Mhm.
stitches that represent different lines that you love, or a whole score from a movie or something. Like, you can be inspired by anything.
Yeah, or colors or,
Yes,
um,
colors for sure.
textures.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and that's how a lot of this is formed. Because, like, if you think about it, this isn't Ursula, but you kind of know it's Ursula because it's got that dark bottom and that lighter middle, and then the
Yeah.
white hair on top. So even, like, you look at it and you go, oh yeah, oh yeah, okay, I can see that. And it means something to the maker. And a lot of times it
Mhm.
means something to the person that's receiving it, because they want to be able to look at it, and it's an adventure for your mind.
Mhm. It's a story. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, and those are the kinds of blankets that I absolutely love to make. Like, I like to tell a story with my work. So anytime you make any of my blankets, it's gonna be more than just simple, because I don't know how to do simple. I mean, I do, but even in my simple
That
stuff, it's kind of involved.
and I love it. It's fantastic.
So
Uh,
yeah. But that's all I have to really say, as far as my personal experience as a person who does design specifically to, I don't know, promote in to on pop culture. Like, that's where I draw a lot of my inspiration. I find it so much fun. But I don't wanna make something that looks like Elsa. I don't wanna make something
mhm,
that looks like Bluey. I don't wanna make something that looks exactly like the character, because to me, that lacks imagination. And maybe that's being mean, but I want you to step out of your comfort zone. I want you to be, you know, inspired to do something really outside of what you would normally do.
oh, that's fabulous.
So is there anything that you would like to add to the discussion as far as, like, inspiration type stuff? Like, anything that you wanna say about trademarking in the
I don't
industry?
think so. I mean, neither one of us is an expert in the field, and it
No,
is an
definitely not.
incredibly complicated.
It
Even
is.
even large organizations have to weed through and get experts to help them, and
Yeah.
um, so just ask yourself when you're getting ready to do something that you're going to be selling or
Mhm.
making a profit from. Is this something that someone else owns? And if it
Mhm.
is, just don't do it. Move on. The
Yeah.
world is just too huge.
Mhm.
Ideas are limitless. You just don't need to be stealing other people's stuff to do your own thing. Be
Mhm.
unique.
Yep. Absolutely. Unique is the word of the day.
Mhm.
We could start having a word of the day. Anyway, yeah, it's too many things to remember.
I uh, right, today, it's too much to remember. Maybe some other day.
Oh, I still have like a whole afternoon's worth of work to do. But anyway, so I'm so excited about like just talking a little bit more about your Cal that you have going on. I've been watching in the background and just absolutely loving. There are people who are like, "This is my first Cal ever," and I'm like, "Oh my god, you little baby,
I
I love you."
know, I
It's just like,
know,
oh, it
I
just
know.
warms my heart.
It was, when designers sign up for a crochet along or a blog hop or whatever, they choose a day that fits them.
Oh,
It didn't even occur to me that perhaps we should work people into the more difficult stuff, and actually, I didn't know what was going to be more difficult,
none of us knew what we were
until I
doing.
got into it, right? And so the first 2 squares, I did not do a simple square. I did, something that had multiple techniques in it. I thought it was simple, but apparently it was not. And then the second one was mosaic, which, is becoming so incredibly popular, but it's a
It
technique that you
is.
really kinda have to know how to do, and this is the beauty of this crochet along is it's taking the granny stitch, which you all know. If you don't know by now, you need to know. Granny stitch and granny square, that's my jam. And so I all of the squares use the granny stitch, but they stretch the boundaries. That I what I love about this blanket is it's some of the squares are a simple interpretation. Some just blow you out of the water with their granny stitch
Yes.
interpretation. And
Yes.
mosaic is one of those. It's like, where do I put that granny stitch? So that was the second one, and people were getting a little flustered, and it
Yeah.
worried me that people are going to drop out. But what I think participants are finding is that, first of all, the granny stitch is gorgeous.
Mhm.
Second of all, it's incredibly versatile because we've got 12 different
Yeah.
takes on it, 12
And
different
they're all
designs.
completely different.
They're all completely different. Um, and that it's teaching people new techniques, giving you a little bit, it's just a square. So you don't have to invest an entire blanket in one
Yes.
technique. You get to
Yes, you get to touch
try
all
all
kinds
of
of
these different
stuff.
things.
Yeah.
Um, and now that we're halfway through the squares, people are going, I get it now. And oh my goodness, the things, the color choices, all of that, it's
Yes.
just gorgeous.
And I think people are having so much fun, and I'm a huge proponent, or I don't even know the word, uh, supporter of using scraps. Like, go into your stash,
Mhm.
get your scraps, especially when you're working with squares, because squares, there's little bitty rows and there's bigger rows. So if you've got a little bitty ball, you can use your little bitty ball up. I mean, because I don't know if you're like me, but I got balls this big running around my house because I don't want to throw anything out. I'm like, I can
I
use that.
know.
I can put that in something.
Well, there actually was one square I noticed that a woman just started a new color in the middle of a
Oh,
round. She
nice.
just right? I mean, you don't have to follow the rules. Well, you have to
Mhm.
follow the rules of construction, but you can do your
Yeah,
colors any
absolutely.
way you want.
Yes.
Yeah, and I am definitely going to do another one. It might not be squares next time, but I think there's so much possibility. Sampler blankets used to be,
Mhm.
it was like embroidery. So
Yeah.
people would do back in my grandmother's day, back even before that for generations, that was how people learned how to embroider and how to crochet and how to
Mhm.
knit. They would do samplers so that
Mhm.
they would do one section of one stitch and then they'd do another section of another stitch and get really good at those stitches and then move on to something else.
Right.
And you would see all of these beautiful pieces. I mean, your blanket, Kiss the Girl, is almost a sampler blanket as well because it's
All
got
of them
so
are. I
many,
call them samplers because
right?
they are.
Right. Um, and and showing people that granny stitch and granny square is not boring. It doesn't have to be
Right.
boring. it's very versatile and gorgeous, and, even the difference between the color palette that I chose for the blanket and all of the designers' choices for their
Mhm.
squares are so different.
Mhm.
Mine is my personality.
Yeah.
It just it's not in your face, it's just there. And there are squares that are, um, very brilliant in
Yeah.
their
Very
color
loud and proud.
choices. Some some are muted, some are one color. I mean, the variety is just amazing to
Mhm.
me. This
Well,
has
you
been an
said we could use up to
eye-opening
4 colors, and
experience.
I had to stop myself.
I actually said 3 colors, but
Did you?
what
Okay.
I might have it limited to, well, it really doesn't matter because I worked it out, but
As of now, yeah. We're there now.
I actually created a chart in the on the blog post that shows what colors I used for my blanket squares.
Mhm.
So there were, I think the one that released on Wednesday used 6 or 7 colors. And I
Holy
went,
cow.
"Well, I only have 3, so this is how it's working out."
Oh my goodness.
Well, yeah, it's just been so much fun.
That's fun. And like you said, it's going really, really well, and I'm so excited that this is just I don't know if it was just that it was so different, and
I don't
it's
know,
just
but I was not expecting the reception.
I
I
wasn't either.
really
It's
wasn't.
so energized.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a horrible time taking pictures of the blanket because, my furniture is hand-me-downs and
Oh
things in
gosh.
poor lighting positions, and, what are you gonna do with if you hang it on a ladder, you can't see half the squares, and, it's what what do you do with that blanket?
Yeah.
But I managed to get one that shows most of it so you can kind of see how it's all laid out. And I've just been shocked by how much people love it. It just
Yeah.
evokes. I think that's one thing that I love about crocheting blankets, because no matter how simple or how intricate a blanket is,
Mhm.
it becomes an heirloom to the person who receives
Yes.
it or
Mhm.
uses it. It's not
Yeah.
something that you just throw it, well, some people might, but it's not something you throw in a corner and
Mm.
ignore.
Mhm.
You Man, you wrap up in that thing and you know who made it, and, uh, I just love blankets.
I do too. They're actually well, they're probably the cornerstone of my business. My design business is mostly blankets. But I just adore that I'm wrapping somebody up in love, And
Mhm.
I feel like there's just endless possibilities with a blanket. Because even if you make the same pattern over and over and over again, if you change your colors or, or even if like even this blanket in particular, there's 12 squares. So if you decide I am really digging this one square, you can make a blanket
Oh,
out of
yeah,
one square.
and a lot of these squares are repeated rounds.
Yeah.
So once you make you could just keep building out.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, yeah, I think this pattern, if you get the full pattern, and it's always available free online, but if
Mhm.
you get the full pattern, you've got a treasure trove of
Yes.
possibilities
I
for the
I
future.
completely I completely agree.
And
Absolutely.
a glimpse, this is the best part to me, a glimpse into the design psyche, soul of every
Uh-huh.
designer who contributed.
Well, that's because you're having, interviews with all of them that wanted to participate. You and I are gonna be talking same time
Mhm.
as our podcast, right? On
An
Monday.
hour earlier, an
Is it
hour
an hour
earlier,
earlier?
yep,
Okay, so it's 12
yep,
my time, 1 your
but
time.
we can move it if you want, but,
Oh, no, not at
um
all. Um, I don't even know what I was thinking. Um, I told you my brain is fried. So, yeah, we're gonna be talking on Monday about my participation in the blanket, and I'm just so excited. I can't wait to get that square out there. I love it so much. And my original square was done in like white and pink, and I think that's the color of it that you have in there. And then the one behind me over here is green and brown because when I made it again, I did one in cotton and one in acrylic, and I wanted to see what it would look like in both. And then I needed something, I don't even know why I made two, but it you said that it is personality, and that's definitely me because the first one is white and coral and pink, and I love those colors. And then the other one is all moody and dark and brown and green, and it's just like it's like sunshine and snuggles, you know?
Okay, well, now don't give away all the stuff because that's
Okay,
what you need
sorry.
to talk about on Monday,
I will.
but
I
but
promise to bring it up.
okay, good.
But yeah, so if anybody like we don't really have a lot of people with us today and nobody's really left any comments. But if you guys have questions about anything that we've talked about today, make sure that you reach out to one of us
Mhm.
or leave a comment in the chat so that we can talk with you about it and help you. And if you have design questions as far as um trademark stuff is concerned, just reach out. We'll do the best that we can.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
so I feel like, and I'm going to use Debbie's line, I feel like we have tackled or solved all of the problems in today's crochet question. Um,
Well, we've at least given it, the old college try, right?
for sure, for sure. So have you been watching anything interesting on TV? Like
Uh,
what's your jam?
well, so I seem to be talking about sports a lot lately, but the
Mhm.
Phillies just eliminated the Atlanta Braves last night,
What?
eliminated them.
Wow.
Top team in baseball in 2023, and the Phillies
What?
just went, "Done."
That's awesome. The
So
Braves have been awesome for a long time, so that's cool.
yeah. So, of course, we have to watch that. The Eagles are undefeated, the football team, they're undefeated. So and I it's not that my team needs to win for me to be interested in watching them, but I'm not gonna lie, it's more
It's
exciting when they win.
always more
So,
fun.
yeah. But I did
Always.
start the 3rd season of Truth Be Told with, Octavia Spencer.
Okay.
I did the 1st episode, and oh my goodness, the, um, the topic that they chose for this season, wow, is just really a tough one. It's, trafficking of young girls, and
Mm,
boy, I think it's gonna really whew, but of course, it was a great episode, and I love that show. There are only 3 seasons so far, so, I'm on the 3rd season, and hoping there are a couple of BritBox shows that, I've just seen a new one, Hugh Laurie and forget the other actor, um, that it looks really interesting.
okay.
So I need to get back to BritBox and try
Mhm.
out some things now that I don't have a show baseball game to watch tonight. So what are you watching, Biz?
We've been, of course, stuck on our trash reality TV, but we've caught up on so many of the seasons that there's just the weekly um stuff to watch, which it's just not that exciting. But yeah, there's a lot of really good BritBox. I've been kind of I've gotten away from Agatha Christie this week. This week has been more like Jane Austen. I did Sense and Sensibility, the 2008 version, the BBC miniseries, and that was really, really good. I'm usually very skeptical because once I fall in love with a movie or something like that, I have a tendency to be like, I'm not watching anything else because I don't want that
Mhm.
vision destroyed. But I'll tell you what, that 2008 version of Sense and Sensibility was really good. But other than that, I can't even tell you what I've been watching. It's just been like stuff on, you know?
Yeah, I
And
think both of us are in the same boat where we're in that high season of business and,
yes.
oh, TV is a background, don't the silence will kill us.
Well,
So
and for the most part, because I'm over here working at my video table, you know, 6 hours a day, I just put on Prime Video, I click go so that I've got something to watch or listen while I'm working on the rounds, and then I get to as soon as I hit where I need to, pause it, go back to the video what I got a video, and that's my day.
Hey, you've got your process, whatever it is, it's working.
Yes, keeps me going. It keeps me from losing my mind because to sit in this room in the quiet, and I've got this overhead fan, so any kind of fan noise, just I'm out sleeping like a like a log.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, just try to keep myself awake. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's been what we're doing. And
Well,
um
maybe we should make a commitment for next Friday to have something really
yeah,
interesting
I
that we
know.
watched to talk about. I will still have baseball to talk about. I'm sorry, but
Well, I have a lot of
there's
football.
well,
And I
it
will say
it
that I'm sorry, go ahead.
maybe it's a crime. Maybe it's a crime that we're watching football and baseball. I don't know. Is that a crime?
No. Um,
No.
I'm stuck. I'm stuck because my husband loves football and I really can't begrudge him watching it because he doesn't watch anything else the rest of the year. So when it comes to football season, what does it cost
Let's
me
do
to let
this.
him watch it, right? So, but what I'm finding this year is more it's more about teams to not like than teams that I like. So, because the Packers really aren't doing a whole lot, they're okay, but, with a new it's just kinda messy up in Green Bay, but, my husband and I have decided that we think that the NFL is really pushing for the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl again, and it's really
What would make
irritating.
you think that? Yeah, well, I appreciate that, of course, the Eagles played the Chiefs in the Super Bowl last year,
Mhm.
and Patrick Mahomes is arguably one of the best quarterbacks.
Uh-huh.
But the Eagles are keeping up again this year.
Yeah. Yes. Well, and I'm tired of the Kelsey Taylor
Yep.
Swift thing. I'm tired of the everybody's fawning and swooning over Mahomes. I know he's a good quarterback, but there have been other good quarterbacks. Like, come on. He is it's not the Messiah, people. So, the Chiefs are
I don't
currently
know.
on my poop list. So,
You I don't wanna be on that list.
no.
No, the first week that she showed up, of course, the Kelsey brothers, one plays for the Chiefs, dating Taylor Swift, the other one
Mm,
plays for the Eagles, and, uh, our main running back, his last name is Swift. So I know. So they had a meme, a side by side meme, and it was, Taylor doing her thing with Mama Kelsey and
uh-huh.
um the Kelsey brothers she's dating. And then the backs of the Eagle uniforms, Kelsey and Swift, and we don't need no Taylor. We got our own Kelsey Swift right
Oh,
here,
that's
you know?
hilarious.
Oh man,
Yes.
they just let her have it. But, Jalen Hurts is just a spectacular talent,
Yeah.
and very soft-spoken.
Yeah.
So, you just kinda never know when he's in the room, but he wins the games. So,
Yeah.
he's
Well,
just
and I,
great.
I can't begrudge people having their oh my gosh moments because we all did it when the Green Bay Packers, finally won the Super Bowl after 30 years of being out of the running, and like we all have our glory
Yep.
moments. It's just kind of it's like people fawning over the Cowboys, like because they were going crazy for them in the 90s, and that just drove me crazy. It's like
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't
They're
know.
down 2
Maybe
2
I
and 3
because
now.
I'm an underdog supporter. I So I'm probably just cheering on the underdog, and it has less to do with the fact that the other ones are doing so well and more of the fact that, you know, I don't know. I'm a weirdo.
Well, we're gonna have fun watching football this season, and it's probably going to
Yes,
invade our true crime discussion, but that's okay.
I'm sure it is. But you know what? We're just gonna go with the flow because that's what we do
That's who
here.
we are.
Alrighty, you
I know.
guys. So not to keep everybody for the rest of the day, because we could just sit here and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk.
Kinda, kinda,
Um,
kinda.
'Cause that's what we're doing. I think we've lost the topic a long time ago. Um, but we're all good. And thank you. If you stuck around, if you watched this whole thing, like, you're the
We love
awesomest.
you.
Yes. And let us know. Give us a shout out if you actually stuck it out. I want to hear from you. All righty. We're going to say bye. You guys have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, everybody.
Oh, I am clicking on the wrong thing.